Hey guys, just wanted to pop on here with my week 3 update of my experiment going on here with my alkaline diet. I've done pretty good this week. I did cheat one day, so there's that. But the rest of the week was pretty good. Still having a hard time with constipation, so that's really disheartening, actually. I think it still might be partially my protein intake isn't quite where it needs to be. I'm having a really hard time. I'm finding out I don't do well with beans, and that's kind of one of the main staples um, with the protein for protein content. So that's kind of a huge bummer. And then I don't do tofu or soy. I've always been allergic to that. So yeah, I think this experiment is kind of coming full all the way around that this is just not quite for me. Not in the strictest sense anyway, but my stats for this week, I am holding out at 153, but big but, I'll tell you in a second. But then HRV, I did it twice in a row because I was like, again, just like, dang, this is kind of an interesting finding is 8.2 and 8. Then the second one was 8.4 after I ate something. So I'm not sure what to make exactly with that. Outside of my adaptability is pretty darn good. My body can definitely pick up and go when it needs to, but still, my physiological age is not really moving that much. So that's very interesting to me as well. So the thing with the weight is I did not lose any inches that I'm aware of so much or anything like that, but inflammation is way down. So that is definitely an eye opener to me. I've been talking about how my ring spins. This ring. Oh, come here. Don't go back. No, you can't have my book. Thank you. He already ripped my page off of my book for all my notes. Yeah, that's that funny little guy. Anyway, I know I keep saying that my ring is spinning, and it's really hard to see because obviously it's a plain band, but it spins really easily and it pulls off. In fact, it almost falls off at this point. Likewise, I was saying this was tight when I first started. At the tightest it didn't spin, and now we've got a good half inch, 3/4 inch gap in between my wrist, and I even had to tighten this guy who is a silicone base, so it's not like you can say, hey, he stretches out, so it must be just that it's stretched out. No, I had to actually up the notch. Otherwise, it was both of them were sliding up and down my wrist, and that annoys me, I found out. So the funniness of this whole little experiment is really interesting. Likewise, with the inflammation versus the bloat, really, it's just wild to get up in the morning and generally throughout my whole day, actually. You know how you kind of walk around at times and you're just kind of like, I feel fat. It's not a complex. It's not a something that's going to lead me to do something crazy or any kind of anything, right? It's just that's the way you feel. Like that's the way my brain handles the feeling in my abdomen. And I have not had that this week. In fact, the opposite, where I know I haven't lost inches in my gut, but I don't feel fat. I don't feel bloated. I feel skinny, actually. So this is really interesting how it's like, all right, when you get that inflammation off of your gut, how much of everything that was driving me insane and could not stand sitting in my own skin kind of a feeling was actually that inflammation the whole time. Like all I had to do was get rid of inflammatory foods and try something new. And I think that's definitely a takeaway from this experiment so far. And the next takeaway is a very interesting one as well. I did try some homemade. Is that delicious? I tried some homemade pancakes this week, and they are gluten-free, dairy-free. almost completely fits within the diet actually, but doesn't quite. So I only tried a bite because I wanted to make sure that they weren't gross and my kids are going to be like, Mom, I don't like it. Because even doctors get that from their kids. And it was, yeah, gluten-free, dairy-free mix. Thank you, Rachel. And I added almond milk. I added chocolate protein, chocolate greens, fruits and greens, and then chocolate chips. So we went for a triple chocolate kind of a flavor. I like to flavor them for my kids and make it different every time. So this mix that Rachel makes for me is absolutely fantastic because it rises beautifully. It's gluten-free, just all of the things. And so I was like, okay, triple chocolate. Usually I would go a little gaga over all of this, right? Like, oh yeah. I tried it, and no offense, Rachel, but the plain, these types of foods that I normally would go nuts over, they don't appeal anymore. Like I tried it, and even like the chocolate chips, I was like, okay, well, let's just try a chocolate chip. I wasn't really all that interested in it. I am finding that my taste buds are definitely changing something fierce, and I thought that was a really interesting observation that I really crave veggies now. They have so much more flavor to me, and just the strength of the flavors that I've been using with like the garlic and the lemon juice and all these different aspects of the salads that I keep making them a little bit differently every time and get a little braver with one direction or another, and they are hitting every bliss point on my tongue there is, and I love them. And I didn't think that I would say that about a salad ever, really, but I mean, it's really just, it does it for me. So that's really interesting. All I need to do is add some chicken or something. Maybe I can go poo again. So anyway, just wanted to update y'all, and there we go. Cheers.